Welcome back to the continuation of this furry drawing tutorial commentary series. I think this will be the last one because I tend to do shading and colouring within the same sitting because I feel like they go, you know, hand in hand with each other, so I just do it together. So let's just jump straight in. I've just put this basic colour layer down and I'm going to be colour picking from this little puffer fish down here. So I just get straight into it. I'm going to pick another colour from what is here and just get something that looks good. Go back down to the original. Now what I like to do, especially for characters that don't have fur, is I'll add in that hue and the base layer of colouring before going in and shading on top. And as you can see here, like these little speckles are quite defined, but the ends of these stripes kind of fade out a little bit more. I will add that in after I've done the shading so it then stands out. So I'm just going to take my airbrush tool and I'm just going to grab a large brush and go around the areas that I want. I'm going to add some warmer colours to the outside here, because it kind of maybe looks like it has a bit more of that, but I'm going for more of a red tone than a yellowish tone you can see here. I'm just trying to add like an almost, not quite iridescent, but you know, like heat changing feel to it. As if the character could almost like colour change depending on what angle you're looking at it. I'm gonna make a new layer for this this part. I'm gonna go in with my coloured pencil. Just gonna add in some of these stripes. I'm going back to the base layer and adding in some shades that I'm just sort of now wanting. Now these little dots I'm not encasing in a little outline. I'm doing so on purpose because it's okay if they disappear when the shading comes into play, because I want them to be subtle. And to really hammer home that the freckle details I've added here, I'm going to create a new layer and I'm just going to use the spray tone or running colour spray airbrush. I usually just test them out to see which ones that I like. Yeah, I think I'm going to just use the tone scraping one. And now comes the fun part. Shading. Yay! I think one of the most fun parts about shading is shading the eyes. So I'm just gonna start out with that first. I've got this random layer here and I don't know why, so that'll be our shading layer. And again, depending on the textures, I'll use different brushes. I think for this mostly, I'm just gonna use some very harsh airbrushes. And don't forget to save. Otherwise you'll be crying because you lost absolutely everything. So for shading, I'm not going to actually select the area of colour. I'm just going to select inside the body and the head, as well as any extra bits that I want to shade. So I'm not selecting the fins right now because I don't want to do that. It's just this sort of mauve colour that I want to highlight at the moment. Now that isn't much, but it's already adding like a lot of definition into it. I was going with a bit of a darker shade than I usually would for this colour because I'm just thinking back to the old videos I used to watch of like people drawing MLP speed paints, and they'd always use purple to shade absolutely every character, so a little homage to that, I guess. And I'm going to move on to the electric blue and then start another layer. While I'm here, I'm just like really keen to do the this electric blue effect here, and to really just hammer that home, I'm gonna just add in some like possibly unnecessary shading just to. No, I think that was necessary, just to sort of get the idea across even better. But I'm going to start a new layer for this as well. I'll combine them all at the end, don't worry about it. So I'm literally just going in with like white down into these sections to really highlight them. It's just the subtlety that helps bring forth this nice glow. I just need to find the right opacity to just bring it together. And then on top of that, I'm just gonna add in quite an extreme, you know, glow certain parts of it, which I will dilute down with the opacity a lot. And we still haven't really added in most of the highlights yet, and this is already looking so much more in depth. So this time I am just going to take all of the colour because why not? And I'm going to work on shading these orange parts. Now I really want to go and just touch up a few other little colours I've got mixed in here. I'm gonna do the fins here with the same colours that I've done on the hands, hopefully. So I really do like how this has turned out, however, I want a sharper, harsher shading just all over it. So I'm going to go right below the line layer, create a new layer, and just go in with like a really deep, almost black kind of blue. So of course that's kind of just made it look like shit, but if I just take this down far enough, it really just makes it look that tiny little bit more interesting, and it might obstruct some of the shading here on the arm, the upper forearm, but at the end of the day I still think it's worth it. And there we go! You have a fish guy. Now of course not everything that I draw is a fish. Such as this one here, where I've used, for the skin here, well, the fur, I've used this running colour spray brush, as well as my, my normal soft spray brush. And that's really got this nice marbled, granite almost texture. For the skull, I've also done the same, very lightly, and used that running colour spray. And for the fur, I will start off with just shading it as I normally would, and I will use this watercolour brush that has this line through it. You can see, like here it's got a line, here, here. And that helps create the fur, and I will layer it from darkest to lightest on top, and then possibly if the shading's not right I'll go in and add extra shading. But you can see the effect. I'm not sure if I would make another video separate on that, but hey, it might still happen. I don't think this is my best work, but I like how it's turned out, and it was just kind of an experiment at the end of the day. yeah, here we have a weird fish. I like this little series. It really popped off in the beginning and then the views kind of dipped down, but listen, I'm having fun. I've got videos planned for the next month or so, going over some various things. I think in 2 weeks' time there's a very fun Halloween video I'm gonna make. And yeah. I draw furry stuff, but sometimes fishy stuff. I hope you enjoyed.